They don't want you to know this, but a massive tax refund surge is coming. Not a small bump, not a rounding error, a surge. And it's not just speculation. The numbers are already in. JP Morgan, hardly a fringe source, is forecasting the average refund to hit nearly $3,743. That's about $500 more than last year, 15% higher. For millions of Americans, this is like a hidden stimulus check arriving right before the 2026 midterm election season. Convenient, isn't it? Now, why is this happening? Simple. President Trump's one big beautiful bill, that's what his team calls it, was passed in July. It rewrote the tax code in ways the media is barely talking about. The biggest overhaul since 2017. But here's the kicker. These changes are backdated. They applied retroactively to January 1st, 2025. So for months, payroll systems have been over-collecting taxes following the old rules. That money, it's coming back to you in refunds. Think about that. You've been handing the government extra cash every paycheck. And when you file in 2026, Washington will be forced to cut you a check. That's not generosity. That's admitting they took too much in the first place. And millions of Americans are about to notice. Let's break this down. Seniors, they're getting a bigger standard deduction, $6,000 more if you're single, $12,000 if you're married. Tipped employees, they're looking at no federal income tax on tips, up to $25,000. That's a game changer for restaurant workers, hotel staff, bartenders, people who've been crushed by inflation these last 3 years. Overtime workers, same deal. Part of your time and a half is now tax-free. 60% of American jobs qualify for overtime. That's not some narrow carve-out for elites. That's everyday people. And if you live in a high-tax state like California, New York, or New Jersey, the cap on SALT deductions just quadrupled from $10,000 to $40,000. Translation: the middle and upper middle class in blue states are suddenly keeping more of their money instead of handing it over to bloated state bureaucracies. Isn't that ironic? Trump's bill might end up saving liberal households more than anyone else. And don't forget families. The child tax credit went from $2,000 per kid to $2,200. Not a fortune, but it adds up when you're struggling to afford groceries or diapers. Plus, if you buy an American assembled car, your auto loan interest is deductible, up to $10,000 a year. That's a subtle but powerful push to buy American. Detroit should be cheering. Now, step back and add this all together. We're talking about an average refund increase of $500 multiplied across 117 million tax filers. That's nearly $60 billion flowing back into households right at the start of 2026. Economists predict it'll lift GDP by 0.5% in the first quarter alone. That's not a tax policy. That's a political earthquake. So ask yourself, who benefits politically? This couldn't be timed better. I mean, Democrats will claim it boosts the economy, although they oppose the bill. Republicans will claim credit for Trump's bill, but the truth is simple. Working Americans benefit. Families benefit, no matter who you voted for. And here's what Washington fears most. You'll notice how much lighter your paycheck feels once the new tax tables kick in. In 2026, your take-home pay will rise because the system will finally reflect the law. But in 2027, the refund shrinks because you're no longer being overcharged up front. That means 2026 refunds will look huge, almost like a bonus check. 2027 refunds smaller. Will the media spin that as Trump's tax cuts failed? course they will. But the reality is that 2026 refunds are artificially inflated by backdated law. It's temporary sugar high, and most Americans won't be told that. But think about the message. For years you were told America was broke, that tax cuts only help the rich, that you should be grateful for crumbs while billionaires rake in subsidies. Suddenly, you're the one getting a bigger check. Suddenly, service workers, overtime employees, seniors, families all see relief in the same year. That's not redistribution, it's restitution. And it raises a deeper question. If Washington could give this money back now, why were they taking it in the first place? Why should Americans have to overpay just to beg for a refund? That's not how a fair system works. That's how an abusive landlord operates. Charge too much, then act generous when you refund overpayment. So here's the bottom line. 2026 is going to be the year of the big tax refund. Millions will cheer when their checks arrive. But if you're paying attention, you'll realize this is not a gift. It's your money finally being returned. And the timing right before a midterm elections, well, that's no accident. The only real question is this. Will Americans see through it? Will they recognize that Washington could stop bleeding them dry permanently, not just in one election cycle? Or will people celebrate the illusion of a surge while the same system gears up to take more again later? You should remember this moment, because when that refund hits, you'll know the truth. Washington didn't suddenly become generous. They just couldn't hide the numbers anymore. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so more people can understand what's really happening. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.